Hey, Cleveland. This is Anderson Varejão of the Cleveland Cavaliers. You are listening to the Sports Fix.
You are the voice of the Sports Fix. So pick up your phone now and call 216-539-7535. 216-539-7535.
Business owners and professionals, do you want to take your business, your product, your team, your event to the next level? You want to advertise right here with the Sports Fix. Our listeners are among the most loyal listeners, terrestrial or internet. The Sports Fix universe is not only the radio show, but tens of thousands of fans on Facebook and Twitter. Email me, Jerry Myers, thesportsfix at AOL.com. That's thesportsfix at AOL.com. And let me help you swing for the fences and hit it out of the park right here on the Sports Fix.
Portions of the Sports Fix brought to you by Harry Buffalo. Harry Buffalo, join the herd.
Live in Ohio, it's time to get your fix. The Sports Fix.
Welcome in, everybody. We are live. I guess it doesn't have the same ring to have that voice guy say, it's time to get your fix in about 45 seconds as soon as Jerry catches up. I just had to finish up, of course, the last-minute stuff. Man, I'll tell you what, I'm beat. I will tell you guys a little bit about, I had a fun evening last night. It was really fun. I always find myself in some off-the-wall stuff. I found myself being part of a music video last night. It's not the first time, and I'll tell you guys about that in a minute. I had some fun, but we've got a lot of fun to get into today here. We've got John McMullen from the Sports Network, Mike Brandenberry coming on. There's Game 3s tonight. There's basketball. There's no baseball, and man, the Indians need a day off after what we saw yesterday. We're gonna do the thing, man. We got a lot of things to get into, you guys, and I'm ready to do it. Hopefully you are too. You're here with us, locked in and ready to go. Then let's do the thing. Welcome in, my friends, to the Sports Fix. I am your host, Jerry Myers, J-Rocc, the big daddy on the microphone, the conductor of the madness, whatever you want to call me. Call me glad to have you guys here, full of cheesy cliches each and every weekday at noon. Across the Sports Fix Radio Network. However you're listening maybe on TuneIn, TuneIn's radio app worldwide, on Spreaker, our good friends over there, and Mixlr and their respective digital and mobile applications. Perhaps you're enjoying us on our own home base, the website, thesportsfix.net. Make sure you bookmark that if you haven't. On digital delay, thousands of you guys. It literally grows each and every day around the world in so many different places. Yesterday, a coffee shop in Denmark followed the show because they listened to it. I don't know how a coffee shop in Denmark finds the Sports Fix in Cleveland, Ohio. More power to them. Love it. Just funny things like that. I tell you, when those things happen, I just chuckle. I laugh with my friends that just like you see on ESPN, those specials about how like there's a small village somewhere in Tanzania that has all the undefeated New England Patriots t-shirts because whenever they get rid of that stuff, they ship it to a third world country. Somewhere in some third world country, they've got soap carvings of Cleveland sports figures and all kinds of stuff because the Sports Fix. I'm telling you, there's some deep dark part of Africa where 13 people sit around a bonfire and obsess about Cleveland sports. That's what I joke about because of some of the outreach places that we've, and I love it. It's so incredible. I say it all the time. It had nothing to do with us. I mean, whatever. If you like what we do, that's great. I don't mean to undershort the show, but it's the power of the Cleveland sports reach. There's fans everywhere. People have moved. I don't know, maybe they ran, but no, they're coming back. I'm telling you, Cleveland is coming back, and everybody sees the bounce back in this city. But there's people all over. Work has driven Clevelanders all over the world, whether it's guys in the service, whether it's guys in Afghanistan, in all kinds of places, literally around the world that reach out to us and say, hey, man, I moved away for this, that, or the other thing, and you give me a little slice back home. I think that's so cool, man. So thank you guys, all of you on Digital Delay, as I said, on iHeartRadio, on iTunes, on Stitcher Radio, SoundCloud, CarPlay, all the other places that you guys join us, feed us, subscribe to us, download us, whatever it is, however it is that you get your fix. Thank you guys, as always. Do the thing. We're going to be limited on the phones today, but you can always leave your take on the hotline, and we'll play it as soon as we get an opportunity. 216-539-7535. 216-539-7535 is the number to call. Facebook and Twitter, easy as can be. Facebook.com/thesportsfix. Tweet with us at thesportsfixcle. And make sure you like and follow us while you're there. Join the nearly, I don't know, what are we at, 20, almost 27,000 combined social media followers, whatever. I had to drop that number. I mean, every once in a while, you gotta do that. But anyways, Facebook.com/thesportsfix. Tweet with us at thesportsfixcle. Email us, thesportsfix@AOL.com. We got John McMullen coming up, Mike Brandenberry, a lot of things to get into. I'm beat. I'm not gonna lie. I'm on my second pot of coffee here, waking it up. Couple of hours sleep here last night, and it's all good. Up filming through the wee hours of the night, and it was good stuff. There's a local band, a metal band, Dead Iron, I believe is the name of the band, and they were filming a music video. It was a big fight, well, it's a whole fight scenario, big gangster, whatever, a whole storyline, really well written stuff, well done. But as you know, acting is a whole lot of hurry up and wait, as individual shots are framed and then reshot, and you've got to shoot them from all the different angles, and all the fighters were separate from the pieces and players and bit players and stuff. So it was a tedious night at first, but it was fun as well. And it's good. I think the finished product is going to be pretty good. But people know I do the pro wrestling thing. I'll tell you what, I'll take that. I'll take live pro wrestling over movie acting any day, because those movie actors, man, they break in between everything. They pause. They actually do sugar glass it up, and they do which is what you do. They do all the stuntman stuff, but it's pause, take, move, pause, take, move, all that stuff, man. At least, pro wrestling, it's live, under fire, real as real can be, as far as there is no retake. There is no second shot, man. You nail it the first time, or you screwed up in front of a whole lot of people. But it was still a fun thing. I can't wait. Long Way Home, I believe, was the name of the song that we did the video for. And the editing process is just beginning in the wee hours of the morning. They were continuing well after I left, because there were still a lot more scenes to shoot. But this thing's going to be pretty cool, and I'll definitely share the link with you guys when it comes out. And that now makes the second actual real, not some garage band putting it on YouTube, but an actual produced, will be aired on television music video. I was also in a Mushroomhead music video. People think, I don't know, they look at me and they see the wrestler thing, they figure I should play grungy fighters in pit fighting and gangster scenes. I don't know, but it was fun. It was a heck of a lot of fun. I want to thank Alex and those guys, the producer, all those guys that had me out last night. It was a great time. Out until the wee hours of the night. And those guys, like I said, toughed it up even more, because they kept going for hours. So I think they may still be filming, actually, some of the guys. So my buddy Ray Rowe from Ring of Honor, one of my true wrestling brothers, man, big friend of mine. We were having some good times last night, and he was killing a whole bunch of people. So I'll share that with you guys. But now let's dive into the show. Just that's the best way to get the show. I woke up this morning, like I said, a couple hours sleep. Said, I don't care. It's game 3. We got to get into it. Look, the Indians yesterday, they're playing some bad baseball. There is absolutely no other way to say that. I was joking with Mike Brandenberry, who's going to join us. I said, man, they've infected Kluber now, because even he had an off day yesterday. But look, I'm going to say this now, and Mike's going to be steaming if he's listening right now, because Mike's not in a good mood. I'm just going to set the stage up now. I told you yesterday, he had to get clearance with me. He's like, all right, man, it's like a George Carlin bit. He's like, I need to know what words I can and cannot use when I talk about this team. So that's where we're at. That's where it's going to be at, and we'll see. It'll be a fun conversation with Mike, but I'm just going to throw this out here. I can't do that right now. I can't be that. 2013, guess what? Tribe started the season with the exact same record that they've got now, and it worked out just fine. I remember 42,000 people at that wild card playoff game that did not remember how the beginning of that season started. And I know, listen, I understand that there's some bad tenants and bad things sticking their tentacles in around on this team that you want to see cleaned up. It's just ugly, bad baseball. But I'm not going to go as far as Mike. But I know this conversation with Mike later is going to be interesting. So I'm going to put the Tribe on the back burner for now. I mean, really, I think that's best for all of us with the way yesterday's game ended and with the Tigers looming here coming up. And so we'll stall that off for a minute. We're definitely going to talk some Tribe with Mike when he joins us. Cavaliers Game 3 coming up tonight. We'll get deeper into the X's and O's. Brad Stevens, the Celtics coach, looking to make some changes perhaps to the lineup, and that wouldn't surprise me at all. I know I was hearing Jay Crowder may end up coming in and going with they may go much smaller with the starting lineup, and as well you may see Isaiah Thomas in with the starters there instead of the bench, sacrificing some of that, because while all the focus is on the Cavs and their lack of bench production comparatively with Detroit, but when you look at Detroit, excuse me, I flipped over to the Indians thing on a second there, to Boston. But when you look at what the starters have done and how much they've outscored the starters, that's the thing. And we talked about that before. LeBron's Miami teams, same thing. Very high percentage of points scored by the starters because of such a high usage batch of guys there. And I mean, also because you play a shorter group of guys and you have a shorter bench and all of that. The depth, is what it is, and that always seems to play itself out that way. But we'll see. We've got some changes perhaps coming for the Celtics. They're coming. You're talking about all in with the Cavs. The Celtics are coming all guns blazing tonight, as they should. This is their shot, in my opinion, to legitimately win a game in this series. It's your Game 3. It's your Game 1 at home. You've got your home crowd. You have shown some life in the first 2 games. You've led both games at the end of the first quarter. You've had 9 and 10-point leads in each of these games in the first half. So if you're Boston, you're throwing everything you got at the Cavaliers tonight, as they should, as I would, as you would, as I fully expect them to. How do the Cavs come out? I think the Cavs come out sharp from the get-go, because I think they know exactly that. They know Boston's coming for the jugular because they have to, because you got to believe that if Boston loses tonight, the Cavs are going to sweep this thing on Sunday. The Cavs are not going to let it slip away. I don't think that this Cavs team, LeBron's been there and done that, and he knows why waste, especially with the Bulls looming, why waste the energy on an extra game. But if the Celtics get this one, then the Cavs will resharpen their focus. They'll have to win this thing in 5. This is the legit shot to me. The one true shot that Boston has. They're going to throw it all out there. The Cavs are going to need everything and then some. We'll talk a little bit more with Mike's going to talk some Cavs. We'll preview the game as we get going a little more specifically. But I'll tell you what, last night, looking around the other NBA playoff games, although the score, I was wrong. I thought it would be a lower scoring game. Told you guys, don't shovel dirt on Timmy Duncan and the San Antonio Spurs just yet, because what a game last night. Is that thing going 7 or what? I told you guys I thought that would be the best first round playoff series, and there it is. I mean, Tim Duncan, as awful as, and he self-admittedly as he felt he played in the fourth quarter, overtime, 111-107, and the San Antonio Spurs, hey, that's all they did was went to L.A. to get one. They wanted to get one on the road, and they did. They stole one. They've grabbed home court advantage now, and for everybody that talked about how old and ancient they looked in Game 1, they do that all the time, and then they adjust in Game 2. They did it once again, but man, the Clippers are right there with them. That's going to be a hell of a series, man. I mean, those two teams, I fully expect them to go back and forth, but you know what they say, you don't truly have a series until the road team wins a game, and there you go. And that's the only series. Look at all the other series. Had the Clippers won last night, it would have been the first time in NBA history that every playoff series so far had gone to 2-0 through all of the games there, but now there's a split in that one. Every other single playoff series has gone 2-0 across the board of the games that have played multiple games, of course. So there you go. But, man, the Spurs, Duncan, Kawhi Leonard named the Defensive Player of the Year. Man, I saw a very interesting stat on that, too. He's one of only a couple of players. Matter of fact, 2 different things about that. He won the award. It's the first time since the early 80s that somebody has now won a Finals MVP and a Defensive Player of the Year award and had not made the All-Star team yet. Kawhi Leonard has not done that. He tied David Robinson and Alvin Robinson as the youngest players to ever do that. And then he joined Michael Jordan and Hakeem Olajuwon as the only players to do that double feat. NBA Finals MVP and Defensive Player of the Year. Man, there you go. And the kid's 23 years old. Kawhi Leonard, of course, if the Cavs and the Spurs meet up, he gives LeBron James fits traditionally here, as we've seen. One of the guys that's really good at defending LeBron James. So that's going to be something to keep an eye on. But yeah, Leonard wins that, and then the Spurs did what they do, and now that series is going to shift gears, go to San Antonio for the next part of that, and we'll see now how the Clippers respond and if they can go get a game. But I told you guys, man, I was watching that one a little bated breath, honestly, because I'm going, man, I wanted to say, man, maybe the Clippers, because I wonder, the day's coming, and I'm a Spurs guy. I mean, I'm a Cavs guy, of course, but I mean, of the other teams, I like the Spurs. I'm such a big appreciation guy for what the Spurs have done in general. It drives some of my friends crazy because they're flashy guys and they can't stand the boring San Antonio Spurs and Tim Duncan, but I'm a guy. And you got to know that the day's going to come when some young buck team is really going to behead them and truly gut that team. I don't mean beat them in a 7-game series. I mean beat them decisively and send that team into its rebuild mode once again. But it's not this year, or it's not this round. It's not these Clippers, because it looked like maybe. And that's why I said I had a little bated breath, because I was like, man, how does the second game respond? Because eventually when that moment comes, then it doesn't matter how good you are. You cannot beat the younger team. They're bigger, stronger, faster. There's always that tipping point. But damn, the Spurs haven't reached it yet, man. And who knows if they will. I still think it's got to come down to the Spurs and the Cavs. But the Spurs got a long way, and so do the Cavs to get there. Right now, that game is just 1-1, heading to San Antonio for Game 3. Tim Duncan, by the way, 5th player in NBA history with 5,000 career postseason points. I know LeBron's in that territory, but 5th player in NBA history to surpass 5,000. That's what happens when you go to the playoffs every season of your career, and every other year you decide to take a run to the finals. Spurs with the comeback there. Looking around the other games last night, Memphis, they go up 2-0, as does Atlanta. And both of those series, we'll see what happens when they switch. I don't know if Brooklyn. I think Brooklyn can grab one in Brooklyn. Portland's going to really need to turn that series around, because Memphis has just smacked them around in both games. Would they win by 15 points last night, 97-82, and really smacked them around. Once again, Brooklyn game for Atlanta, but not enough. And Atlanta's got the 2-0 lead in that series there. And now we head to today. You've got the Cavaliers and the Celtics. And on tap tonight, just an hour after that, Chicago and Milwaukee. Bulls looking to go up 3-0. Milwaukee trying to save themselves. Golden State and New Orleans, the late game tonight, as that game switches to New Orleans now. And the Pelicans look to start to dig out of a 2-0 hole. We'll talk a little more about the Cavs in a little bit. By the way, Dallas, man, I remember... I'm one of those guys. I'm guilty as charged. When Dallas made that trade for Rondo, they traded Wright and the first-round draft pick for him. I thought that was a good trade. It's been the opposite of that. It's whatever the anti-word is for a good trade, that's what the Rondo deal has been for Dallas. He's had problems. He had a game he was suspended during the season. He's clashed with Monte Ellis. He's clashed with Rick Carlisle. He's now out for, it looks like, the remainder of the playoffs here with what's being termed a back injury, but there's people down there that say it's just simply an issue of they're benching him and they're putting him out. And Rick Carlisle was point blank asked yesterday if he expected Rondo to return in free agency. He said no. So they know Rondo's not happy at all with what's going on, and that's going to sabotage that whatever potential run that they had here in the playoffs. Who'd have thought that look, I get that maybe you go, okay, but I remember everybody. I wasn't just the only one that was like, hey, this trade is a good deal. Look, you just added Rondo defensively to a team that needs some grit. He's going to need to adapt to the team. They're going to need to get some chemistry, but this should be a good deal. Opposite a good deal there for Dallas. And now they've got to deal with that while also dealing with Harden and Dwight Howard and the Houston Rockets. All right, guys, let's take a break, and let's get this break out of the way and get John McMullen in on the conversation. He's going to join us. The NFL concussion deal goes through again. We've got some players moving around. Brown's schedule's out. A little bit of draft talk. Let's talk some football with John McMullen. Baseball with Mike Brandenberry from DidTheTribeWinLastNight.com. Cavaliers preview. Mayweather, PacMan. They were listening. They got things moving yesterday and so much more. When we come back, we'll be live on the Sports Fix, and John McMullen will be with us next here on The Fix.
Magic Bird and Bernard King and number 33, my man Kurt Reed is the center of my starting team.
Public service announcement from the Sports Fix. We here at the Sports Fix and our affiliates would like to apologize for any disturbing verbal actions, but remember, it's better having them trapped in a box than loose on the streets. Public service announcement from the Sports Fix. The Sports Fix, the sports show that cares.
The wait is finally over, guys. Baseball season is here at last, and the excitement continues all season long. Here we go again at DraftKings.com, the official daily fantasy partner of Major League Baseball. Daily fantasy means no season-long commitments, just instant cash, instant gratification. Why wait until the end of the season to claim victory when you can win huge cash every day? At DraftKings, it's like a brand new season every time you play. Just select 2 pitchers and 8 position players, stay under your salary cap, and you could be on your way to an enormous payday. Last year, Peter from Colorado won $1 million at DraftKings in one day just playing fantasy baseball. Hundreds of thousands of fantasy sports fans, just like you and I, have already cashed in at DraftKings. Now it's your turn, baby. Hurry to DraftKings.com now and enter promo code SPREAKER to play for free. You could win part of the $300 million. Yes, I said $300 million in prizes being awarded this baseball season. Use promo code SPREAKER for free entry now at DraftKings.com. DraftKings.com. That's DraftKings.com.
Hey, Sports Fix fans, I'm Fred McLeod, TV voice of the Cavaliers. When I'm not busy taking elbows from my buddy Austin Carr, I'm tuning in to see what the guys are saying.
Come on, Cavs.
I'm Little Teapot, short and stout.
Here is my handle and here is my spout.
No, Dad, like this. When I get all steamed up, then I shout, tip me over and
pour me out. This is WWE superstar Roman Reigns. The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
No football? No problem at Harry Buffalo North Olmsted. From their awesome Wing Mondays to every single Cavaliers and Buckeye Hoops games in full HD, the excitement never stops. Every day of the week brings a different set of food and amazing drink specials. Fight fans, Harry Buffalo North Olmsted is the home for every UFC pay-per-view live on the big screens. And let's not forget their mouth-watering trademark, the Bison Burger. Nobody does bison like Harry Buffalo. The perfect combination of healthy and delicious. What are you waiting for? Get to Harry Buffalo, just outside Great Northern Mall today. Harry Buffalo. Join the herd. Fantasy sports lovers, you put so much time, hard work, and effort into playing week to week that it quickly stops being a fantasy and starts getting real. And when the smoke clears, you want to show off those victories with a real prize. I mean, a really real prize. Nobody does that like Fantasy Jocks. The crew over at Fantasy Jocks have beautiful, high-quality, and heavy-duty championship belts, rings, trophies, and so much more for all your fantasy sports needs. There's literally only one place to go. FantasyJocks.com. Have you gotten your copy of Cleveland's Finest yet? Highlighting the best moments, players, and media members in Cleveland sports history? In-depth, personal interviews with some of the top names in Cleveland sports fill the pages of this incredible book. Cleveland's Finest by Vince McKee is this year's must-have book for every Cleveland sports fan. Available now at Amazon.com. Get your copy today.
You're listening to The Sports Fix.
Welcome back to the Sports Fix live across the Sports Fix Radio Network. J-Rocc back with you here. A Thursday afternoon. We're rolling on. John McMullen from the Sports Network is going to join us here. We're going to talk some football. Mike Brandenberry coming up in a little bit, talking some Indians, some Cavaliers as we preview Game 3. So much more to do. We're just now rocking and rolling on today's edition of the Sports Fix. You guys keep rocking and rolling right with us on Facebook and Twitter. Facebook.com/The Sports Fix. Tweet with us at The Sports Fix, CLE. Email us, as always, The Sports Fix at AOL.com. I saw a quick note. I don't know what he's got on the football field. We're going to find out. But, man, Dwayne Bowe's a hell of a guy. I don't know if you guys heard the story going around making the news cycles and all that about the elderly fan, longtime Kansas City fan that had developed a relationship with Dwayne Bowe during his time there with the Chiefs. He had a habit of kissing her during the games every time at the home games. She was a 86-year-old woman. She passed away, and Dwayne Bowe went back to Kansas City, spoke at her funeral services, and had some great things to say. And I mean, when you hear it, it was so heartfelt. And I was like, look, I don't know what that cat's got left on the football field. We're gonna find out. But that's a dude right there. You know what I mean? That's a guy. You know a real guy when you see stuff, and that wasn't a public relations move. That was classy. Exactly, Bruce. Very classy, and that's cool stuff. So if he brings some of that to getting rededicated on the football field, hey man, that could be a good thing for Browns fans everywhere. But you at least know you got a good guy there coming to play wide receiver. Let's talk some NFL. A lot of stuff going on. Concussion deal again, third time now they've tried to do this thing now. Let's pick that up right there. John McMullen from the Sports Network. John, how you doing this afternoon?
Doing well. Thanks for having me, Jerry.
As always, thanks for being here. We have a great time every time you're here, man. And got a lot of things going on. Of course, steam picking up for the draft. But, I mean, I mentioned the concussion deal earlier this morning. News starting to come out that I think for the third time now, they think they've got this thing fixed where the judge is going to allow it to go through. And it's still, it seems people talk about it like it's such a staggering amount of money. It is, but it's $1 billion over, 65 years. That's a drop in the bucket for the NFL to get out of what it potentially could have been.
Yeah, I think, on a whole, from their standpoint, monetarily, it makes a lot of sense. And, it is a lot of money. And I think, I had written when it was first approved many months back that it was, a good deal for the players because simply you have to look at it as in a legal sense. And I understand that people think it doesn't go far enough, but it's very difficult to prove as a plaintiff that something like CTE or whatever you want to bring up, dementia, ALS, it is directly correlated to your playing of the game of football because there's so many other things that can come into it. The fact that you played at the high school level, that's obviously not the NFL's fault. You played at the college level, that's not the NFL's fault. Some of the things you might do off the field as far as drug use, PED use, all that comes into it. And it's very tough to draw a straight line from A to B in a legal sense. So I think that's the part the players don't understand, and that's why, the lawyers from that side look at it as a good deal simply because they know the reality of the situation. And if you want to go to court personally against the NFL, it's a very tall hill to climb, not only for the reasons I just stated, but also they're very obviously financially well-heeled, so that comes into it too. So, is it perfect? No, but in a realist sense, I think it's a pretty good deal for both sides.
Well, like you said, with all those different factors in there, it may be the best. And it takes away all of those individual deals of having to prove your circumstances, and it's just a cut and dry deal now. Do you think this one's going to hold up now with the judge? Is this one now set in a way where they'll allow this one to go through?
Yeah, I mean, Judge Brody, granted final approval yesterday. So, there could always be an appeal from one side or another, and there's always going to be players balking and bowing out. But principle, I think it's going to go through, as I said, and you can argue whether it goes far enough. I know the people, one of the major issues for the people that argue that it doesn't go far enough is CTE, which is the brain disease. But one of the things they're not really putting in the place is right now that can only be diagnosed post-mortem.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, it's until you can diagnose it while someone is living, it's not really going to help them anyway. So that part of it I don't understand. And again, it's imperfect, but it's a step in the right direction, and it's a significant amount of money, which will be adjusted for inflation as time goes by. Right. So it's going to provide obviously cash for players diagnosed for qualifying diseases, and that's a positive step forward.
Absolutely, and the fact that barring any appeals, as you said, the thing can start as soon as possible. That means the people that really are affected the most by it can get moving in the direction that they need to get going. A couple of things I wanted to talk to you about. Hey, player-wise, it slows down a little bit when you get here as far as the free agency. Hearing word out of Miami, Greg Jennings going down there. You know a bit about him. What do you think? When he was out there, there were some guys and I talking about different receivers and the Browns. Not that they were ever going to go spend that kind of money or whatever, but that was one. What has he still got left in the tank? You think it's a good replacement for Wallace there for Miami?
Well, it depends what you're looking for. Greg Jennings is a obviously a veteran receiver, very, very good route runner, still probably one of the best in football. So I think from a leadership standpoint and the fact that that's one of the most underrated aspects today, and one of the issues with all these receivers coming into the league, young receivers, is generally they're not very good at running routes, and to have a guy on the field that's that good at it is certainly helpful. And he doesn't have the long speed anymore. He's not going to scare people over the top, but he's still a veteran receiver that can help, and especially from the slot. He's one of those guys. He knows how to get open, and that's not going to change in Miami as it did in Minnesota. I think people don't realize that how effective he was at times there because they've had so many quarterback issues, and you kind of saw his production spike when Teddy Bridgewater took off, and I think he'd still be there if the Vikings weren't able to make the trade for Mike Wallace. So it's interesting that he ends up in Miami to replace Wallace, and I think it'll be helpful for Ryan Tannehill.
Well, it should be a good thing, too, because Philbin was the offensive coordinator there for Jennings as well. They've got the familiarity of being together in the system in Green Bay, so that could also be a good thing there. And I'm with you. I think I thought he was somebody that I would have kicked the tires on if I was the Browns. I mean, I didn't know. I mean, obviously, that's water under the bridge now, but that was somebody that I would have kicked the tires on for sure when they were looking for wide receivers. Hey, you know what? Since we went that way, open that door, looking for wide receivers. I'm curious. You mentioned you doing your mock drafts. We were kind of talking a little bit about that last week. I saw on some of them a lot of people this week pointing towards Devontae Parker. I saw as one of the people a lot of guys have circled as the Browns. What do you think? Do you in your mocks? I haven't seen your latest. Do you have the Browns coming out of the first round with a receiver?
Well, everything is, obviously at this stage is dependent on trading up, and I think the Mariota situation is still in play. I think it's a possibility. The fact that obviously Cleveland has, the 2 first-round picks at number 12 and number 19, so I think on the other aspect of that, it's very clear that they don't believe in Johnny Manziel, and I don't disagree with them there. So I think there is an opportunity for them to move up and make that trade and try to go get Mariota. If they do stay put, I certainly think wide receiver is in the conversation. I think defensive tackle would be in the conversation. I think offensive line would be in the conversation. Those would be my 3 top needs and wants, and then it becomes to who lasts to number 12 and number 19 respectively. And when you talk about Devontae Parker, you have to look at the Rams at 10, you have to look at the Vikings 11, you have to look at the Dolphins at 14. I think those are the teams, possibly in the market for a wide receiver, along with the Browns. And then you enter into an equation, is it Danny Shelton going to be there? Because, if it comes to me between Danny Shelton and Devontae Parker, that's difficult, because I would have Shelton higher on my board. And I think the second aspect of that is the wide receiver position is so deep in this draft. So you could get a good wide receiver not only later in the first round, but also later in the draft, because that's probably the deepest position in this draft.
John McMullen from the Sports Network joining us here. We're talking a little football, little Browns. We are exactly 1 week out from said draft here, as they moved it back up just a tiny bit there, and a week. So you're still, I mean, everybody. It was funny, Mike Pettin the other day. People trying to get blood from a stone, trying to get answers from that man, and he's having fun with it. He's like, look, man, everything's out there. And I was joking with some people the other day off the air when he said, when they asked about Manziel, and he said, "Oh, Johnny Manziel's very much a part of our plans." I said, all that says to me is that we're trying to trade him. I said, that doesn't necessarily mean that he's a part of the team plans as far as playing on the field. It just means he's a part of our plans. I'm joking, but that's the silliness of the season that you have here. You really feel that the Browns, does your gut tell you that they're going to make some type of a quarterback move here next week?
Yeah, I mean, whether it's their interest in Sam Bradford, which I've been above board about, I don't completely understand. I don't think that's the way to go. Or if they like Marcus Mariota, and who to be honest with, I don't think is a great prospect either. So it's tough. And I said it from the beginning of this process. If you're looking for a quarterback, this is not the year to be looking. It's as simple as that, because the draft is not deep at the quarterback position. We know free agency wasn't deep at the quarterback position. The trade market, not a lot of great options at the quarterback position, and you are where you are, and that's why the Johnny Manziel pick hurts so much. Yep. Because I can't think of the next time, and I haven't sat down and looked through the years, but I cannot think of the last time an organization took quarterbacks in the first round in back-to-back years. It just doesn't happen, because even if a guy falls flat on the field as a first-round pick, generally you give him a second chance, a third chance, even a fourth chance. The fact that they're in this position, and this is even a conversation we're having, just tells you what a disaster on every single level Johnny Manziel was. And it speaks to where the organization is. And as I said, they don't trust him, and everything's in play, whether it's Mariota or whether it's Sam Bradford, or whether it's they don't get a quarterback, or they get a quarterback later, like a Brett Hundley or Bryce Petty, Garrett Grayson, whoever, to bring in as competition, and let sort of Josh McCown hold down the fort. But clearly, quarterback is still an issue in Cleveland.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And you brought up a great point. I mean, everybody, I've had so many of these, as you know, in Cleveland. We've had a million of these conversations off the air. Everybody's talking quarterbacks, talking, do you go Mariota? When, I can't think either, now that you said that. Any team, when has a team taken two quarterbacks years back-to-back in the first round like that? I cannot think of any definitely off the top of my head that are popping up, man. I mean, that's how rare of an instance that is, because they always, as you said, give them a second, third chance. I mean, that's your first round quarterback that you took. You have to, because if you don't, it's a failure on you as the general manager. So usually you're going to give that guy as many opportunities as you can to hit a home run.
Yeah, and that just speaks to the desperation, and it publicly, they're gonna. You mentioned, everyone says Mike Pettin. Ray Farmer talked today. Johnny Manziel's still in the plans, and he is still in the plans because if they're not able to get anything done, obviously he's going to go to training camp and he's going to be given every opportunity to at least compete for the position. So, from that standpoint, he's certainly still in the plans. But again, you can tell. Actions speak louder than words, and by the way Cleveland's been handling their business, it's pretty clear they don't believe in him. It's pretty clear they wanted Sam Bradford, offering up a first-round pick, which is astonishing to me on so many levels. But it is what it is, and this is an organization that is not comfortable at the game's most important position.
These trade rumors out here just have me so worried because they're all scary which one the Browns could end up going. I mean, we were talking, somebody yesterday, Dan Wismar, said that the last thing he had heard from Tennessee was asking for 12, 19, and 43. And it's like, are you serious? Would you really give up all three of those picks to move up and get that guy? No way. No way I would. I will roll my dice.
No way I would, and I'll tell you this. By history of the NFL, 12, 19, and a second-round pick isn't even going to get you up that far, to be perfectly blunt. That's how much you have to give up to move up that far.
Come on, we're not
it's
even
a king's
talking
ransom, and to me, the more likely scenario is the only team to me that has the ammunition to get up to number 2 is San Diego. And that's because they have the one asset nobody else can match, and that's a great quarterback.
Yeah,
in Phillip Rivers. They're the only team to me that can get up and has the assets, unless you totally want to mortgage your future. And we're talking about, for instance, 12, 19, and a first-round pick next year. That might do it.
Come on.
And exactly, you're exactly right. This is not the kind of prospect you do that for. Bottom line, this is not Andrew Luck level prospect. This is not a Jameis Winston level prospect, no matter what anyone will tell you. This is not an RG3 level prospect.
I know that you don't. John, I'm sorry. I know you don't judge a guy just off of a game, off the bowl game, and all of that stuff, man. But the toughest team that I think I saw Mariota play against was Ohio State, and they had their way with them, man. And that tells me right there that maybe he can get to the NFL. He can get up to speed and be coached up and develop. He's not a drop, plug and play, drop him in there kind of a guy. And that's the only thing you mortgage the future for is Andrew Luck, is the drop him in guy.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's a mistake. For instance, if San Diego were to do it, I think they immediately go from if they trade Rivers in 17 to get up and take Mariota, they go from a 10-win team to a 3 or 4-win team immediately. That's the difference. It doesn't make a lot of sense in the short term, certainly. What you're hoping for is the long term, and Marcus Mariota off the field is the anti-Johnny Manziel.
Oh, yeah.
The one thing, and I'll criticize him as a player consistently, and I think he's got a lot of holes, and I think the Oregon offense didn't do him any favors as far as projecting him to the next level. But one thing I would never criticize him for is the off-the-field stuff, as far as work ethic, as far as him as a person, as far as his leadership skills and all those things. If he's a failure at the NFL level, it won't be because of his lack of effort or his lack of doing everything he needs to do. It'll be because of some mechanical issues. It will be because he's behind the 8 ball as far as learning a pro-style offense. It'll be things like that. It won't be the Johnny Manziel type stuff of he's not doing his homework, he's not doing his work, he just doesn't care about his profession. It'll be the exact opposite of that. All that said, I don't think he's a transcendent prospect. If on my board, he's not even the top 10 best players in this draft. And obviously that because of the position he plays, you take that into account. That's the reason he is where he is, because it's more important to have a quarterback than, say, a defensive lineman. The best player in this draft, better than Winston even, is Leonard Williams, the defensive lineman from USC. But obviously the quarterback position means more, so that's why Winston's going to get the number 1 slot. But Mariota, I'm with you. I mean, this is not an Andrew Luck. This is not even an RG3. This is not even a Teddy Bridgewater from last year. This is a guy with significant holes as a prospect, especially if you plan on running a traditional pro-style offense. The one team he's plug and play for is Philadelphia.
Yep.
And that's literally the one and only team he is plug and play for.
I'm telling you, it's so funny that you say that, man, because you said that about the top 10, because I told somebody, I said, if we're being realistically honest, if we're all cards on the table and nobody's trading up to get him, I said that guy should fall relatively close to 12 for the Browns. They shouldn't, in a world where nobody's trading and creating this crazy market, he could legitimately just be drafted by the Browns. That won't happen because people will try to jump up. Somebody's going to go do something and it's going to shake it up. But I've been saying that. I'm like, okay, maybe 10, 11. But I'm like, he legitimately, to me, is not in that top grouping. He's right there, and because he's a quarterback, it's a premium. And I would develop him for sure, don't get me wrong, especially if I was a place that had somebody decent enough in place that I could develop this guy up a little bit, man, I'd be with it. But there's no way I'm going up for that. No way. Hey, 2 things I want to talk to you about real quick, man. Next week it'll be Draft Thursday, man. That'll be a good one. Greg Hardy, 10-game suspension here from the NFL, which was I guess a slippery slope because they didn't actually have a conviction to use against him, and it was kind of in that middle ground between the old policy and the new policy. What are your thoughts on that? And should it have been more, or did they get the most they could out of that?
Well, a couple things. Just from the NFL standpoint, I'm astonished. It should have been 8 games or 12 games, but not 10 games. And somebody in that office has to look at the calendar and realize if he's suspended 10 games, his first game back is against the Carolina Panthers on Thanksgiving.
Oh. Wow.
And, that is just a disaster as far as PR goes. It looks like you're trying to take advantage of the situation. So, to me, that's too much of a coincidence, and the NFL should have been on top of that. But they have some of the same issues as they did with the Adrian Peterson punishment, and the fact that this happened under the so-called old policy, and they're trying to punish him under the new policy, and that's already went to court in the Peterson case, and they lost. So they're going to have a very difficult time if the Players Association takes it to court, and I assume they will, because they're obviously going to appeal, and that's going to be the end game because the NFL is not going to give, and it's most likely going to be struck down in court. But we'll see how it moves forward.
John McMullen from the Sports Network. Next Thursday is Draft Thursday. Cannot wait. Hey, real quick, the schedules came out this week. You took a look at the Browns schedule. What did you think of it? I mean, obviously, we saw the slate of games before. It was going to be tough for the Browns. I think the NFL made a tough slate of games as easy, I guess, to navigate as possible for the Browns, but the Browns definitely have a tough season in front of them.
Well, I'm one of those people that don't understand how big the NFL schedule unveiling has become. And the first thing everybody does in April is they look at the schedule and they go, "That's a win. That's a loss." They play
the schedule game. Yeah, right.
We don't even know. Yes. We don't even know who's going to be playing quarterback.
The quarterback. I know you can't pick any games, but I mean the opponents are tough.
I think that's one of the most overrated things in football is the schedule release, and because it's not who you play, it's when you play them. You might look at a tough game as pick a tough game Cleveland has at Baltimore, whatever.
Seattle.
What if Joe Flacco's hurt that week? All of a sudden, that's not that tough.
I don't know. At Seattle's tough pretty much no matter who's hurt, though. I mean, that one's a tough one there, you know.
Well, Denver, but you get my point. It's,
I know
you
what
know,
you're saying.
as the league goes,
Yes.
there's a lot of different things that happen, and I always go back to Bill Parcells, who said, you know, if you want to be an NFL head coach, you better understand that there's going to be, you know, a couple things that happen every day that you don't want to happen, and you got to deal with it. And if you can't deal with it, you're not going to be a very good head coach. And basically, what he's talking about is the fact that you don't know what's going to happen. It's just, you know, look at Cleveland. We just mentioned the quarterback. You know, Josh Gordon's suspension. You know, when that's thrown on you, it's almost a yearly thing now. You don't know who's going to tear their ACL in training camp. You have no idea who's going to line up in September, and everyone's pulling out their hair trying to figure out, you know, if you know, week 7's a win or a loss.
Yeah. I don't do the schedule game this early in the season at all. I don't, not at least on that aspect. I simply look at the opponents coming in, you know, in general. And but I'm with you when they rate the strength of schedule, and you're not kidding about an event. Like, I'm used to just, you wake up in the morning and the plain dealer would have the schedule. Go, hey, here's the Browns schedule for next year. You know, now, like, I was looking on my timeline. I wasn't there. I was at this filming I was doing, and I'm going down Twitter, and these teams are revealing the way it went, and I'm going, come on, man, really? This is what we're doing here? But anyway.
And not only that, if you think about it, because the NFL, you know your opponents the day the season ends.
Right,
because
right.
It's the
We've
plug
known
and play
that,
schedule.
yeah.
So all they're really, you know,
putting them in order.
Releasing is dates.
Yes.
It's that's all they're releasing, and you know, it's unbelievable how big it's become, and that's one I don't understand as far as the fans go.
No, me too. I'm with you. All right, next Thursday, are you ready for some draft talk here? We'll be up against it. Maybe, who knows, maybe some moves will be made. Maybe we'll be sitting here talking about what may happen in a few hours. But next Thursday, the next chapter begins.
Yeah, there's no doubt there's going to be some moves made. I mean, that's the nature of the NFL, and everything's going to. Last year it was Jacksonville at number 3 when they took Blake Bortles, and there's going to be a pick, and this year it's number 2. That's the linchpin pick, because the Titans have no interest in Marcus Mariota, but a lot of teams do, and they're going to try to take advantage of that situation.
That's the statement I'm afraid of the most, because I'm afraid that the team that gets taken advantage of by somebody is going to be the team that we talk about here every day on the show. All right, John McMullen, my man, thank you. Great conversation. Next week, Draft Thursday. Looking forward to talking to you.
All right, thanks for having me, Jerry.
You got it. My man, John McMullen from the Sports Network. Always a great conversation. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll get some news, and we'll get Mike Brandenberry in on the conversation. Talk a little Indians. It's ugly. It's early. There's going to be all kinds of cliches thrown out there. Cavs, hoops, Mike Brandenberry. Let's do it. When we come back after the news, hour 2 of the Sports Fix. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
We here at the Sports Fix want to make all of your dreams come true.
What about my dream?
Edith, I told you I can't build your candy house. It will fall down. The sun will melt the candy. It won't work.
It will if it never rains.
Oh, maybe not all of them. Get your fix on the Sports Fix.
This is head coach Gary Waters at Cleveland State, and you're listening to the Sports Fix.
Whether it's an oil change or a new set of tires, Quick Lane at Valley Ford Truck has you covered for your automotive car care needs. They're your neighborhood quick service experts. They also offer a low price tire guarantee. Choose from 13 brands, and if you find the same tires at a lower price within 30 days, Quick Lane at Valley Ford will refund the difference. They're open late Monday through Thursday until 9 p.m. and open early Saturday so you can check it off your to-do list and get on with your day. They also have a newly remodeled service lounge and additional service bay just for Quick Lane oil changes. Quick Lane at Valley Ford Truck is located at 5715 Canal Road, right under the 480 bridge in Valley View, just down the road from Independence. 5715 Canal Road, right under the 480 bridge in Valley View, just down the road from Independence.
Come see why life is better in the Quick Lane. QuickLane.com/ValleyFordTruck. That's QuickLane.com/ValleyFordTruck.
Today on Save on Taxes, we ask 100 people what costs less than filing your taxes with IRS Free File.
A car seat. Oh, a pair of shoes.
The correct answer is nothing. When you use Free File, you get brand name software, tax prep, e-filing, and help with the new healthcare provisions, all for free.
So, did we win anything?
Everybody wins. freefile.irs.gov. It's fast, it's safe, it's free.
Business owners and professionals, do you want to take your business, your product, your team, your event to the next level? You want to advertise right here with the Sports Fix. Our listeners are among the most loyal listeners, terrestrial or internet. The Sports Fix universe is not only the radio show, but tens of thousands of fans on Facebook and Twitter. Email me, Jerry Myers, thesportsfix@AOL.com. That's thesportsfix@AOL.com. And let me help you swing for the fences and hit it out of the park right here on the Sports Fix.
The Sports Fix is now available every day on the world's largest internet radio service, iHeartRadio. Download the free iHeartRadio app, subscribe to the show, and get your fix.
Good morning, I'm Bob Picosi. You think it's a coincidence? Teams with LeBron James have taken a 2-game-to-none lead in a series 13 times, and they've won all 13 series. Cleveland leading 2-zip will be in Boston tonight for Game 3 in their NBA Eastern Conference first-round best-of-7. Celtics coach Brad Stevens says he's considering a change in his starting lineup. Atlanta has a 2-game-to-none lead over Brooklyn. Paul Millsap scored 19 points last night in a 96-91 home win for the Hawks.
Defense down the stretch did it, forcing them off the three-point line, making them take tough shots. They're a good team. They got talented players. They're a tough load, but we're able to hold them to 91 points. And that's a plus for us.
Game 3 will be Saturday afternoon in Brooklyn. Mike Hoffman scored the only goal of the night with 11 minutes left in Ottawa's 1-0 home win over Montreal, so the Senators avoid a 4-game sweep in their Stanley Cup Eastern Conference first-round playoff series. The Tigers announced this morning closer Joe Nathan needs season-ending surgery to repair a torn UCL in his throwing elbow. In the first round of the Zurich Classic of New Orleans today, the leaders at 4 under par, Jason Gore through 9, Morgan Hoffman through 8.
For over 60 years, Ferguson has been the name that pro contractors count on for plumbing, HVAC, waterworks, and more. They have the right products and the right people right around the corner. Put them to work for you at Ferguson.com.
Now, back to the Sports Fix.
Indian fever. It's catching fire with everyone.
I'm pretty sure the music this week is a rib on my next guest, Mike Brandenberry, man. This is going to be fun. He just sent out a tweet during the break. Getting ready to come on the Sports Fix, talk about the Indians, and say positive things about the Cavs. And I guarantee you that's the way this conversation's going to go. My man, Mike Brandenberry, who may be among the most and listen, I get it, man. The most frustrated men in the world, the most interesting man in the world. Mike Brandenberry is one of the most frustrated men in the TP right now, man. He's pulling his hair out. We're going to talk about that with my man from DidTheTryWinLastNight.com coming up here in a minute. Jason just sent me Jason Cato on Facebook. Just blamed it on the Sports Illustrated curse, man. I said, well, I don't think Mike wants to hear anything about curses or jinxes or anything else. I don't have a bleeper button here. I wish I did, because I may need it here. I know we've already gone over the list of the do's and the don'ts, so pretty much as long as it starts with a certain group of letters, it's okay. We'll have some fun, though, guys. I love Mike, and we love I hear you, Charles. I mean, what can you say? I mean, listen. Okay, let me preface getting Mike on by saying this. When you're me, which is the guy that, hey, look, man, I know the real deal. I mean, I try to keep positive, and I try to look at things from a certain perspective. Reality is what it is, though. But I'm always trying to find the silver line, and you guys know that's kind of my thing here. But days like yesterday are the ones that are the backside of the good day. Like, hey, when you take the long route and they work their way back into it, and then you look like the guy who had patience. But The flip side is days like yesterday. Days like yesterday, I just look like an idiot. And I'm not even going to lie. I look like an idiot because those are the days where you just go, damn, until you start getting it together, I'm the guy that is the idiot saying you're going to get it together, because then you go out there and play games like that. I do believe they're going to get it together, and I do believe there's an upward momentum and mobility here. Mike? Not so much. But days like yesterday make me shut my mouth and go, you guys got to just win a few games for me, please, here, because these are the days where it's difficult. And that's why so many people flip-flop. I'm just going to be honest with you, because they go, hey, man, I can't have people calling me an idiot. Call me an idiot today. Hopefully you won't tomorrow, but damn. I don't know. It's up to the Indians, not up to me. That's out of my control. Let's pick up there. Seriously, I'm trying to lighten up the conversation so it doesn't get too bad, because right now, somebody's got to lighten up something. Let's talk some Tribe with Mike Brandenberry from DidTheTribeWinLastNight.com. My boy, coming up on the show. Mike, how you doing today?
Hello, Jerry.
Oh.
I am surviving, my friend.
Hello,
I have
Jerry.
to tell you.
Oh.
What's that?
The way you started, the opening hello, Jerry, just set the tone for everything, man.
Yes. I have to tell you before we begin, I have been fighting a cold all week. And I can honestly say, if suddenly I disappear in the middle of this call, I'm sure my frustration level is going to peak. I didn't hang up. I probably just lost what's left of my voice.
Okay.
I too have Indian fever. It's just a little different than the song that you played. It's some kind of disease that I feel like maybe I'm getting it because I've watched this team. My God, Jerry.
I know.
Where do we begin with this?
I know.
You and I have texted back and forth this week, and
yes, we have.
I had to ask you what words I am allowed to use to describe.
I told people the other day. I said just to give you a preview of what this conversation is going to look like. Mike's clearing the words with me on how this conversation can go.
Yeah, I mean, and I want you to know I won't break any of the rules that.
Oh, do what you got to do, man.
I
mean, they're playing like crap.
I have respect for you and your show and for having me on, but one of the words I think you wouldn't let me use was something that we would maybe use to describe the wind, and that's what I feel that the Indians have been doing lately.
But you're right.
This is awful, and I know. Let's use all the cliches and let's just
it's
get them
early.
over with. And
yes,
say,
long season to go.
Okay, say it's a long season and it's early, and pick some random year. If we're still stuck on 2013, I'm sure they had a terrible start there.
Exact
too,
same record.
Like
they had the exact same record through this many games.
Okay.
There you go.
Exactly. So, at this point in some other year, they were just as crappy, and it all turned out, puppy dogs and unicorns. Jerry, this team so far is awful. And I think the part that drives me insane is, in my mind, this isn't early. This is a continuation of last year. This team still can't score runs. It still can't hit, and it still can't catch the baseball. None of that is early. None of that is a slump. That's the main ingredients of this team, and it has been for a while. The stories that we were told in spring training, they're not coming true. The story that Michael Bourne is in the best shape of his life, he's still getting older, okay? He's still getting slower. He's still bad in the outfield. Jason Kipnis is, supposed to be healthy and improved. Jason Kipnis, to me, when are we going to start having the conversation that Jason Kipnis isn't a borderline all-star? He's just a guy. He's just a guy. If you take out June 2013, he's a career .252 hitter. He's just a guy. And that's not early. That's not even a small sample size. I looked it up today. It's 1,700 at-bats. of hitting 250. He's not an all-star. He's just a guy. Michael Bourne's best days are behind him. I feel like other than Corey Kluber and Carlos Carrasco and Trevor Bauer, I feel like they're granted a pass, and after that, I don't know who's exempt of anything to do with this team playing poorly. And the Indians can tell you all those cliches that it's early and that people like me are panicking for no reason, but they're making panic moves of their own, whether they want to admit it or not. I mean, watching my back hurts watching Michael Brantley play. Will someone please put this guy on the disabled list and get him healthy? Please. Because I'm hurting watching him try to play baseball right now. I respect what he's trying to do, but if you want to look into a crystal ball, I'll tell you what we're going to hear in October. Michael Brantley played all year with a bad back, and that's why his numbers are down. Get him healthy. If it's shutting him down for 15 days or for a month, do it. I mean, it's not. I mean, this isn't Michael Brantley's fault in any way, but I mean, he's not holding this team afloat by playing at 60%. They're sinking fast. Get him healthy so that maybe they can pull their rabbit out of a hat come June and go on a 10-game winning streak and get their way back into it. But I mean, this team is a mess, and the things that make it a mess, to me, it's not early. I mean, they haven't been catching the ball since 2008. Their defense is not any more improved. I tweeted a article written by Fangraphs this morning that I thought was amazing. Goes around the diamond and talks about all of these things that, Jason Kipnis has never been a good second baseman. Michael Bourne, his best days are behind him. This team's best outfielder is Tyler Holt, and he's not on the roster. Carlos Santana is a below-average first baseman. Lonnie Chisenhall is a terrible third baseman. Their defense is awful, and nothing has changed. All of their major problems are still major problems from a year ago. And to me, in a lot of ways, this isn't they haven't played 14 games. This is game 176, a continuation of last year. And I don't care what anyone says too, with as bad as their offense is. When you're Corey Kluber and you're Carlos Carrasco, I mean, Corey Kluber had to look at the scoreboard in the 5th inning yesterday and see a couple hits up there for the Indians and a 3-0 game and think, we're done. We're done. They're not going to score 3 runs to get us back in the game. I mean, that's another stat.
I'm with
81
you.
times.
11 guys on
81
base.
times last year. They didn't score 4 runs or more. That's true. 7 of 14 times this year. It's a continuation of last year.
Yesterday, you could see it. I mean, you could actually see exactly the way that game was happening when they got 2 on in the second, and then they get the bases loaded, and they don't get anybody in. You get 5 guys on in the first couple of innings, and then it was the pattern for the day, 11 on. I mean, like you said, the minute that was a 2-0 game, and you look and you go, these guys they're not coming through when they need to. They let Samardzija dance out of trouble left and right. I mean, I'm with you. Listen, just because I try to look optimistically, and I'm with you, we got to figure out some rays of sunshine here to try to even pull through. And you named just about the only 3 of them. Ryan Rayburn's doing a little bit with the bat here, but figures when nobody else is hitting, he is, and then when everybody else is hitting, he's not. But it can never just all come together for the Indians. But yeah, they're playing bad baseball. There's no way around that. It's just awful in every stretch of the word, so many ways. And man, it's a day off today and heading to Detroit, and now here you go. I mean, yeah, looking at the pitching matchups, I like it. I think if you're into that aspect of baseball, great. But man, Detroit here, although tough news for them, of course, with Nathan. I was going to talk to you about that when we segued into it, but they've been such a buzzsaw that you got to think that that'll be a bump in the road for them. But man, that's two different teams at two different crossroads right now, early season here as the Indians head into Detroit.
Yeah, and I mean, going along with Detroit, I mean, let's talk about Detroit. I mean, first of all, as we went through the winter, as the Indians became the more and more popular pick of a lot of people, I mean, one of the biggest reasons that people liked them is because supposedly the Tigers and the Royals were going to be worse. And I'm not down on this team for like some kind of I told you so satisfaction, but I know several times, if one of the better things that you can say about your team and why you're improved this year is just because other people have got worse, then you're probably really not better. And that's where the Indians fall in. But let's look at the Tigers and the Royals. I mean, those guys are playing with their hair on fire. Like, they've got something to prove. I mean, I wonder, you want to talk about Sports Illustrated curses. I mean, there's part of me that thinks that those guys got those Sports Illustrateds hung up in their clubhouse every day to remind themselves that the whole world thinks that they're not as good as the Cleveland Indians 3 weeks ago, because they come out every day with something to prove. I mean, if someone from the Royals is listening right now, I just want to apologize for the idea that I said on this show a month ago that I would pick them to finish fourth, because they look like they are taking people's names, and literally, if you're the Oakland Athletics, they will throw baseballs at you. So I do I do not want any beanballs thrown at me. I am sorry to the Royals, but they and the Tigers both. And again, like you said, you can see it on the Indians' faces. Where's their urgency? Where's the Indians' urgency to get up off the mat and play like a team? Because those two teams are playing like they've got something to prove to somebody. I mean, that one team is the 5-time defending division champion, and the other one was 3 outs from a World Series title. They don't have anything to prove to anyone in my mind, and they're playing like they have a vengeance against the world. And then there's the Indians, who are just continuing to tell us that it's early and don't panic. I want to know from them, when is early over and when is they're just not very good going to begin? Because I think we're getting closer to the they're not very good part of the season. It's still early, but like I said, their problems are the same problems they had a year ago, and they're not getting any better.
And I got to be honest, you bring up that with the magazine covers. Part of me, definitely, I was just talking to somebody about this over the last weekend, is you wonder how much of that, and I don't mean the curse part, the hangover of a little bit of fame, even though it's nothing. But when you became you start flipping on baseball tonight as a player, you start hearing all these people singing the praises of the Indians. You wonder, because the previous seasons, there's been no slight expectations, but, minimal at best for the Indians, compete for a wild card. And it came out of nowhere the first year, and then the second year, it was a bit of a down. But, you wonder if part of that is that, and I'm not grasping for, hey, well, they can turn it around. But, there has to come a point, and I want to see it. Like you say, playing with your hair on fire. There has to come a point where somebody looks at each other and says, kick each other in the ass. Like, hey, this is, we're not just walking in here and winning anything. I don't care who put us on the cover. Let's get out here and play like a team that is trying to, some urgency, some sense of urgency. That to me is always the fine line between walking it's a long, and I don't mean this as us talking cliches, but I mean as players, that fine line between it's a long season and every game is still important. Because something silly as listening to LeBron, and you guys know, listen, I've got a long twisted history when it comes to my.
You are a big LeBron guy. I always
big LeBron guy. But I loved what I heard him say the other day, and it showed such maturity in his thought process. He was talking about looking at a basketball game and how important every single possession is, and how now that he didn't look at this, years ago. Now, when you lose a game, he goes back and think into the first quarter, and he'd go back and look at the loose ball that you didn't go after with 2 minutes into the game, or whatever, the bad pass that you threw 30 seconds into the second quarter, and you realize that that's why you lost the game. It's not just the final play and the final seconds or whatever. And it's that same thing. When you look at it, it's a long season. You sometimes dull yourself to the fact that the games that you lose in April count every bit as much as the ones that you lose in October.
Absolutely. And, they have got off to some terrible starts the last couple years with this kind of new regime, and since Terry Francona has become the manager, and I don't think it's all on Francona. I think it's on the entire team as to why they've got off the slow starts. But I mean, they dug themselves a hole last year that they never were able to dig out of. And I was one last year that said, when comparing them to 2013. They dawdled along for a long time in 2013, but what everybody forgot is that it took a 10-game win streak, and they needed every one of them in September to get their way into the playoffs. And there's a reason why we remember a 10-game win streak. It's because they don't happen all the time. And that's the thing is, I really, without continuing to just sound glass half empty or at this point all empty, tell me why I shouldn't believe that this isn't just that this is not a good baseball team. I mean, tell me why that 10-game win streak isn't the outlier, and
all right, let me jump in.
That 2013 and their 92 wins is the outlier, and that this isn't just an average to slightly below average team. I've asked people this week. They won 85 games last year with one of the best managers in baseball, an MVP candidate, and a Cy Young Award winner. We as Indians fans and being half full see that they were just 3 games from a playoff spot. I mean, I think in fairness, you have to look at that now and say they were only 4 games over 500. I mean, they were only 4 games from the midpoint with the best manager, the Cy Young Award winner, and an MVP candidate. If you take those guys away, and right now, with the loss of Gomes and with a hobbled Michael Brantley, I mean, they don't have their strengths. They're not a very good team.
Let me jump in here. Now, I'll throw what I threw at you last night. And this is because I got to go, I got to pull in the opposite direction. And, bro, so much of what you're saying I agree with. I mean, I go back to... You go back to what I said last night, okay? And I know it is a little different.
I know what you're going to say.
Where I'm going, and I know where you're going.
Go ahead.
Right. I know your answer because it's a different set of circumstances. But, I threw at you last night about the Cavs, and I said, hey, halfway through the Cavs season, they were guaranteed to be a slightly better than 500 team that loses most likely in the second round of the playoffs the first year through until they made the trades that addressed their... And I'm not saying that there's a bunch of magic bean trades that the Indians can make, but I honestly believe between the players that are underperforming, the players that are not yet a part of the equation, and I'm not banking on Nick Swisher or Zach Wall. I'm not banking on all these guys, but I believe that in the mix of guys, whether you're talking Holt, Lindor, those guys that I just mentioned, some of the other guys that are right at the next level down, I do believe there's a handful in that group that will be a piece of what the Indians are doing. And same thing with some of the things in the bullpen. I've always said I believe that it takes half of a season to really get a good group. And that doesn't mean that there's not good bullpens from the beginning of the season, but pieces and mixing and matching. I do believe that the Indians' toolbox is not bare is probably my best way to put it. And I do believe that between guys playing better and other guys who can be mixed in and out of the equation, I do believe the sum of the Indians' parts can be better in the long run, and mix that in with perhaps a trade or something or whatever. We've talked about they are able, if need be, to make a move, take on a little bit of money, stuff like I'm not expecting a miracle, but there's enough variables there that I just believe that it's far too early to cash out on the season. While you are right, the Indians, as currently playing and constructed, are a bad baseball team.
Well, I would say, first of all, the Cavs analogy where I don't think it washes is, the Cavs had a new coach, a new system, and an entirely new roster to start the season. And then, of course, halfway through the year, really remade a quarter of their roster. And I mean, between, the two trades that they made in 48 hours and it tossed in adding in, Kendrick Perkins, is pretty much, somewhere between a quarter and a third of their roster. Yeah. Where I say that it won't wash is, first of all, I think part of the reason that the Indians are where they are is because they've made no changes. They have done nothing to revamp their roster. They've told us for 6 months that their defense is better because they have Jose Ramirez. Well, I'm telling you, their defense is not better because they have Jose Ramirez. It's better at shortstop. That's it. It's worse or just as bad everywhere else. It's not better because they changed one player. Where I don't think that it washes is, in part, first, the Indians haven't made the changes that the Cavs did initially, and history tells us that, I'm not saying that the Indians are going to turn over, a quarter of their roster. That's not as feasible in Major League Baseball as it is in the NBA. Yeah. But I have a hard time seeing them make a major trade in season because of the way that their roster is built. And some of that goes with the second point that you said where you think guys that are underachieving can play better. I'm really interested to hear from you or anyone else, for that matter, who are these underachievers that you still believe are going to get up off the mat? Are you believing that Michael Bourne is going to get younger and better? Or, where are these guys coming from? I'll give you that I think, Jan Gomes will be a shot in the arm come June when he returns. If they get Brantley healthy, he'll be a shot in the arm. But, I hate to be the wet blanket for people, but, Lonnie Chisenhall is not a prospect anymore. He's just not a very good baseball player. That's what he is. I think Jason Kipnis is an average baseball player. He's just a guy. He's not a borderline all-star like we treat him as. Michael Bourne is on the back nine of his career. Brandon Moss is playing like a guy who had hip surgery. And Michael Brantley is banged up. These things, to me, most of them aren't changing. So those are all the ways that I don't really see where the Cavs analogy makes sense, other than that you can play a bad first half of a season and you can turn it around. But with that in mind, they haven't turned it around in a long time because they haven't been catching the ball and they haven't been getting timely hits. And that's where I say it's not early, because they've been doing this for a long, long time. I think the difference is some of the guys who have carried them are banged up right now and can't carry them. And so every wart that they have is getting exposed worse and worse and worse.
I agree. We're going to have to agree to meet back here every week and just do 10 paces, turn around and draw and see who wins every week. I got, some days you're going to have a better week than me. Some days I'm going to have a better week than you, man. I don't know, man, because I get so much of what you're saying, but there's no way. It's way, I can't, man. I have to do this 5 days a week, man. No way, man. There's a long season.
I feel for
I don't
you.
care.
I have to tell you, I have to tell you,
cliche, man.
There are people that think that I get some kind of gratification out of the Indians' struggles. I've been an Indians fan my entire life. There's nothing I want more than to come on here and talk about the Indians playing good baseball.
I know. I want it too.
And what comes out of it. But I'm not going to come on here and tell people that it's all going to be blue skies and sunshine.
It's not. It's not. And I don't want you to do that. I don't ever want anybody to do. I don't want to do that. I'm not going to do it either. I'm simply keeping one eye open and the other eye looking for worms. I don't know, man.
It's they're tough to watch, and I have to be honest. And that's where I was kind of going. I don't get anything out of watching them struggle. As a matter of fact,
no.
I can't watch it, Jerry. It's unwatchable baseball.
I agree, and that's why
right now.
You and I talked about.
I chose to watch the commercials of the Cavs game instead of flip over to the Indians game Tuesday night. I would rather watch that kid say "clean my dishes" from a couple years ago.
Oh,
than
you went back
the
to clean my
dishes.
Like no, but Mike, I hear you, and that I did say you and I both agree, man. This is the one camouflage that the Cleveland Indians have right now is the Cavaliers and their playoff run, because as long as that continues, the focus for most of the casual fans will not be on much more than the score box of the Indians, if anything else. Now, if they're this much of a mess in 6 weeks when the Cavs smoke clears, boy, then it's really, the focus is really going to turn up on them at that point.
And you're right, because if they're a mess like this in 6 weeks, when the parade's over, all we're going to end up doing is enjoying that parade for about 2 weeks and start talking about training camp.
Yeah,
and this will be
this
we'll title this baseball season the season that never happened, because no one will notice it. It'll be like that the riddle: if a tree falls in the forest, and nobody's around, does it make a sound?
Listen, man.
If no one watched the Indian season, did 2015 really ever happen?
All I'm going to say is 13 games into Major League One, I think the Indians were 1-10. That's all I'm going to say, man. Or that didn't even add up. I think they were 3-10. Shut up. I'm just kidding, man. This is a nightmare. He said this is a nightmare.
Children shouldn't be allowed under 17 to watch.
You talk about a nightmare. I just said 13 games into the season, they're 1-10. There's that Catholic school math education.
I was going to point it out, but I thought the way this Indian season is gone, they could find a way to go 1-10 in 13 games.
They want to hide a couple of those 13 games. They want to pretend that they didn't happen there, especially yesterday. Yesterday just got uglier as the day went on, man. But hey, you know what? Day off. We'll see what happens. I can't lie, man. It's the Tigers this weekend. Let's see what happens. I told you, when you're the optimistic guy, days like yesterday, you just have to sit there and take it on the chin, because you can say, hey, it's great, and people will go, well, this guy's an idiot. Or you can go, yeah, talk to me tomorrow, man. Maybe it'll be a better day.
I need an off day. I need an off day from the Indians.
You got it today.
Day is great.
Game 3, baby. You ready? Cavaliers tonight, Game 3.
I am more ready than ever. And I was telling someone last night, I feel like the Cavs are playing this series like most of the fans are, in that it's like a foregone conclusion that this series is going 4 or 5 games, and we continuously peek at the scoreboard and check on the Bulls. It's like a crash course. It's like when the sweep is complete Sunday afternoon, there'll be some announcement that the real playoffs are beginning.
Have now begun,
yeah.
I you know what?
The Cavs are winning with their B- effort, and I feel like the Celtics are giving it an A+ effort through 2 games and still come up with nothing. And I think tonight is a night where the Cavs can really put this to bed fast if they come out and blow the doors off the Celtics early. If they can get themselves an early first half lead, I can see Boston calling it a season, and this will be over fast.
This is the breaking point.
This in the same breath, though, I think is the one game the Celtics could steal if they get back home, get on their home court, and if the Cavs let them hang around like they have in the first 2 games, this could be the one that they steal.
That's what I said. This is the one. Game 3, first one at home, all that momentum. If they're going to win one, it's here, because they're not winning Game 4 when the Cavs are trying to put it to bed. So this is the one that they have a chance to go out there and win. And, like you said, the fans, the Cavs, looking at it as almost the B series waiting for next week. I saw the secondary market, the playoff ticket prices. The Cavs and Celtics, it's the lowest average around the entire first round of the NBA. There were people getting tickets day of the game for games 1 and 2. Some people getting them less than face value. Some people getting, I think the lowest ticket, they were like $30, $35 tickets available. The average, and that's when you include like the floor seats, was at like 110, and it was the lowest of all the first round matchups. And they said that part of it is the fact that everybody knows there's more playoff games to come, so the demand is just not there. When you get deeper, then of course you know the chance to lose is there. But you can just see the fans' belief in that, in how easy it is to snatch up tickets around town for this, because they know that it's the first round. And the Celtics, I said this yesterday, they're the little brother. They're going to give you everything they got. They're going to try. They're going to have the lead for a few minutes, and they're going to talk some trash, and then you're going to go, oh. Then you're going to block a couple shots. You're going to dunk on them a few times, and you're going to walk out, and they're going to go, oh, that's my big brother. He just laid me out. And that's this series here. The Celtics they're giving it 110%, and the Cavs can go half speed, and still whenever they decide. You notice there's no coincidence that when both games got to the biggest lead for the Celtics, that was the exact moment in both games where 30 seconds later the Cavs were up double digits, and for all intents and purposes the game was over.
Yeah, and that's where I don't know that the Cavs will necessarily blow the doors off of them tonight like I'd like them to, but I have a hard time seeing them steal this game, because for all the reasons you outlined, I've told people what's wrong with knowing that there's more playoffs to come than this series. I mean, I don't feel like this is counting chickens before they hatch.
No.
This for Clevelanders, we're not really comfortable or used to this, but swagger is something other than a dog to a lot of times.
It's called being the favorite, Yeah, people aren't used to that.
Having a little confidence, a little cockiness, being the best team, being the big brother, that's cool, okay? You don't always have to, do it the hard way, as we seem to always find ourselves doing in Northeast Ohio. So be comfortable being the big dog. And I jokingly tell people all the time, see you at the parade, believe it. Just believe that it's going to happen. And that's not being cocky. That's not being arrogant. Because all kidding aside, I don't believe in curses. I told somebody the other day, I'm the same age as you. I lived through, the fumble, the shot. I don't remember Red Right 88. That's a little outside of my zone. But I remember the fumble, the shot, the drive. I certainly have the scars of 97 and 2007 with the Indians. I've been down all those roads, but there's nothing wrong with expecting good things to happen, and that's exactly the way I feel about the Cavs. And just expect it to happen. Have that cockiness, have that swagger, because that's part of being a championship team. And I really, that is as much to me. I think they have one eye towards the next series like the rest of us do, but I also don't think that they're interested in letting a game slip away and having to play a game 5 because they let a game like tonight slip away. So I think their eyes are on the bigger prize too, and that's okay.
Hey, you don't spend all season complaining about playing too many extra minutes and all that stuff to be willing to give away extra games in the playoffs. You know what I mean? Like, they don't all of a sudden become, so what? We'll play an extra game, I mean, I'm pretty sure if LeBron's been watching the minutes during the season, he would prefer to save 48 minutes or so for later on in the playoffs. So tonight's going to be a lot of fun, and then we'll see if the stage is set for a sweep on Sunday. I've already predicted it. I think next Wednesday we're looking at Game 1. I think both of these series are going to be sweeps with the Celtics and the Cavs and the Bulls and the Bucks. And I think they're both going to be 4-0. And next Wednesday, we're going to be tipping off Game 1 of Round 2.
Yeah, I think so. And then the real playoffs will begin.
That's going to be nasty, man. Look at what they're doing. That San Antonio and the Clippers, that bloodfest in the first round, that's going to be 7 games. You're getting ready to see a series like that with the Cavs and the Bulls. That's going to be a series for the ages, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure
You don't
that
think
I
so?
think it's going to be I don't think it's going to be the heavyweight bout that some people do. I personally
They're
just
so
think
big.
that the Cavs are better. I mean,
I agree with that.
They beat
Yes.
them. They beat them at all different points of the season. They beat them with their old roster. They beat them with their new roster. They beat them with Derrick Rose. They beat them without Derrick Rose. I just think that they're better. I do think that, the Bulls will try to manhandle them. I think they will try to be physical with them. But in some ways, I think it will still be similar to this series. And if the Cavs can take their best shot in the first two games at home, by the time they head to Chicago, I don't know what the Bulls are going to have left. And I can see the Bulls are a better team for sure than the Celtics, but I can see that series being over in as fast as 5 games. I can see the Cavs taking the 2 at home and splitting in Chicago, and they'll be coming home in Game 5 with a chance to close.
I see Chicago playing their game and literally playing a grinded out series. I see low scoring, low 80s, high 90s type games, and that does not play into the Cavs. I agree. Cavs are a better team. Cavs are going to win the series. Hey, I think the Cavs are winning the East. I'm point blank. But they can take the Cavs 6 or 7, and here's why. Not on talent, on the fact that they've got some nasty. They're willing to get physical. And guys, like, say what you want. LeBron will get in there and get nasty with people. But Kyrie, Kevin Love, those guys have not yet been through the physical. I'm not just talking about showing up and playing in the playoffs, but I mean those Eastern Conference wars that you can get into. And I'm not saying that they will not step up, because I think they will. But they're going to get bloodied a bit along the way. And I think that Kyrie Irving's going to get knocked down in a game or two and then learn how to get up, take it, and you evolve and adapt as the series continues. But I do think that the veteran physicality of what Chicago can do is going to take the Cavs out of their game in the early part of the series. And then once the Cavs adjust, then I think the Cavs will win the series. I know they're going to. I do believe they win the series. I'm not saying that Chicago can beat them, but that's why. I think Chicago can beat them up, and that's going to take some of those young Cavs out of their game until they get used to that level, because Boston's not beating them up like Chicago's going to do.
No, you're right, and I agree with a lot of what you just said, and as I hear you kind of lay that out, I think of a guy who has made himself who's bet on himself this year, made himself a lot of money, and when the Cavs beat the Bulls, he's going to make himself a whole lot more money, and that's Tristan Thompson.
Yeah, Tristan, MVP.
Because if you want to fight, I think Tristan will fight you if he has to. And he's going to get in there and scrap with those guys, and he's out rebounded 2 and 3 guys at a time, and he'll do it again with the Bulls, and he's not going to be afraid to get physical with those guys, and he will earn himself a lot of money between now and Memorial Day, that's for sure.
I know he's not a Kawhi Leonard as far as the full game, but he's like that. He's going to emerge from this playoff run. I've been predicting it all since the playoffs started, that Mozgov and Tristan both are going to emerge as, to the casual fan, wow, these guys are much better. We didn't even know. But Tristan is going to be the silent MVP of this playoff run for the Cavs, man. And when it's over, what you said to a T, the world will know who Tristan Thompson is when this playoff run is over.
Yeah, so is his bank account, too.
You know it. He's getting paid, brother.
So is his banker, They better carve out a new safe deposit box at the vault, because that guy is going to get paid this summer.
Nice commission coming to LeBron's crew there, man. So but you're right, he bet on himself, and he's definitely going to get the payoff from that one there. We'll talk some more here next week, man. By the time you and I talk again, hopefully we're into Game 1 of the Eastern Conference semifinals, my man.
Sounds good. Hey, little tip to all the Cavs fans out there. Start reserving hotels about third week of June. My tip to you is the Radisson, just because it's near the queue. It's effective in price. It's not going to be too much, and I assume that the parade will go right down there on the way to the queue, so that'll be a good spot for everybody. Just a little tip from from me to your listeners for the parade route.
All right, there we go. Mike Brandenberry, didthetribewinlastnight.com. What are you guys working on this week?
Well, we're going to have a lot of stories about how the Indians aren't very good, Jerry. And
kind of thought that.
We'll come. What's that? Today we went through the bullpen and all the ways that it's floundering. And soon we'll probably cover it all. But we're going to jump into the defense, and there's, like I said, there's a nice story on Fangraphs that'll probably get pushed back on our site, just because I don't know how to say it any better than they did. But expect some stories on their offensive offense coming your way.
All right, there it is. DidTheTribeWinLastNight.com. Make sure you bookmark it. Mike Brandenberry here every week on the show. Mike, enjoy the weekend. Well, hopefully you can enjoy the weekend. It's the Indians and the Tigers as they continue their way through the division. They've got Kansas City coming up back at home on the backside of this. So when you and I talk again, we will be in the middle of the Kansas City, the experimentation of the 6 o'clock first pitches.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. It sounds good on paper, but if your team's not playing very well, I don't think it matters what time the game starts.
Oh, there you go. Let's see next week. Mike, enjoy the weekend. Cavs Celtics, Game 3 tonight, Game 4 on Sunday, Game no more after that. And we'll talk again next Thursday.
That I can't wait for.
All right. Take it easy,
I promised you positive Cavs stuff. So
all right, we did well.
I brought a little ray
of
sunshine there.
We did well today. Next week, we'll take our 10 paces and draw again.
Sounds good, my man.
All right, my man, Mike Brandenberry from DidTheTribeWinLastNight.com. Always nice of him to join us here every Thursday on the Sports Fix. Let's take our final break of the day. When we come back, Mayweather and PacMan, they've decided they're going to finalize things. You knew it was coming, but 10 days out. Wait till you hear these ticket prices, man. I told you, $74 million just in the house alone. You can't even buy the most expensive tickets. You have to be hand-selected just to be allowed to buy the most expensive tickets. Super VIP. We'll preview the Cavs tonight, Game 3, Cavs and Celtics, and wrap it up. Don't go anywhere. Final segment of The Fix coming up next.
There's something kind of about a kid that's never played baseball.
Throwing you the best sports commentary in town. The Sports Fix.
Guys, want to take just a second as we head into this break and remind you about the official business printing source of the Sports Fix, our friends at Signs and Ship. Signs and Ship, I'm telling you, Chris and Pam, they've taken care of me since day one, and they can do the same for you. Whether you're a small business that's already been established and you're looking to grow to that next level and expand your business, or perhaps you've got an idea that you just know is going to be a great business and you need to figure out how to brand it and how to promote it and put it out there, Signs and Ship is the place for you. If you need a logo, they can create one for you. They have a fantastic graphic designer. Business cards, signs, banners, yard signs, mobile advertising, anything you can think of that you need to promote your business, they've got it at Signs and Ship. The best thing about them, too, is each of their locations, whether it's the home base here in Elyria, Ohio that I work with, or their spots in Virginia, Florida, and Pennsylvania, it's all local sourced. Very important to me because we all understand that small business is the lifeblood of the community. So check them out, signsandship.com, or call Chris and Pam today, 440-323-6060, the home office in Elyria, Ohio. Signs and Ship, quality printing at affordable prices.
Portions of the Sports Fix brought to you by Fantasy Jocks. Looking to upgrade your league trophy? Check out fantasyjocks.com for championship belts, rings, trophies, and more. Fantasy sports lovers, you put so much time, hard work, and effort into playing week to week that it quickly stops being a fantasy and starts getting real. Real time spent making real decisions, creating real victory.
I'm the greatest man in the world!
And when the smoke clears, you want to show off those victories with a real prize.
I mean, a really real prize.
Yeah,
Nobody does that like Fantasy Jocks. The crew over at Fantasy Jocks have beautiful, high-quality, and heavy-duty championship belts, rings, trophies, and so much more for all your fantasy sports needs.
The trophy's 12 feet high, and it is glorious.
Football, baseball, hoops, you name it, they have it. Plus, they have awesome draft kits and party supplies to make all your preseason activities the envy of everyone. If your league needs a ring, belt, or trophy, or you want to upgrade what you already have, there's literally only one place to go. If you're going to be a fantasy jock, do it right.
It's mine, the most magnificent belt ever created, and it's mine.
With America's fantasy sports superstore, fantasyjocks.com.
What's your fantasy?
Sports Fix listeners, like us on Facebook today. Facebook.com/The Sports Fix.
Hey, everybody. Listen up.
Listen up, guys.
Hey, guys, listen up. No one should ever hit a woman.
Not their wife, not their girlfriend, not their date. No woman should have to fear violence.
Especially not from someone they know and trust.
But that's the reality for too many women.
We have to change it.
It's up to each of us, because even one is too many.
Violence against women hurts all of us. Growing up, I was ashamed and afraid of my father when he abused my mom.
The worst abuse of power is when a man raises his hand to hurt a woman. We all have to take responsibility. So if you see someone threatening a woman, step up, speak out, and get help.
Dating violence hurts all of us. So step up and help end it. Because one is too many.
One is too many.
One is too many.
One is too many.
End the violence. Because it's wrong.
Because one is too many.
Hey, Cleveland, this is Tristan Thompson of the Cleveland Cavaliers, and you're listening to Sports Fix.
In Northeast Ohio, nothing is given. Everything is earned. I'm coming home.
I'm hurting, baby. We need to score. We've been defeated since 1964. LeBron, we love you, and love, we need you too. Kyrie and Dellavedova deep in the queue. I've got a despair for that ring. Just wanna be wearing that ring. It was killing me while you're away. LeBron, we welcome you home. Just bring that trophy back home, and you're gonna make Dan Gilbert stay. King James, Kyrie, Kevin Love, we got our own big three. We're all in, and we need that title here in CLE. Our hearts have been broken way too many times. Need that win in Cleveland before I die. We're all in.
Welcome back to the Sports Fix. J-Rocc back with you here as we wind down the show. My man Dale Officer and his group of guys, the Wine and Gold Five, and Sean McNeil, my buddy, helps us put together some of the funny stuff on the show with his latest tribute parody song, the Cavaliers there, all in. Good stuff, man, and we'll play that as the Cavs keep going, which means you'll hear this song for about the next 8 weeks until the Cavaliers finish this thing off tonight. Of course, Game 3 on tap. It really is the one that Boston has a shot to win here. They don't have a shot to win it unless the Cavs decide not to show up. But it is the one. So we'll see. They're going to come out guns a-blazing. I agree with Mike. If the Cavs come out guns a-blazing too, they'll shut it down. The only way the Cavs screw this one up is if they, tonight in particular, is if they meander around and let the game stay close late. Then you can mess around. And you can go down in the fourth quarter, especially here being on the road. So we'll see how this one goes down. We'll talk about it tomorrow. I mentioned earlier Brad Stevens talking about tweaking his lineup, maybe going smaller, perhaps inserting Isaiah Thomas, who's been very successful here, put him in there. Perhaps Jay Crowder as well goes in. I mentioned it earlier, but I didn't have the exact number. Talking about the bench, and the bench has wiped the floor with the Cavs bench, 106-39. But talked about the starters, but I didn't have the exact number. Okay, forget the starting five. Okay, you can talk about the bench. We know what Isaiah Thomas has done. He's got 44 points in games 1 and 2 of this of this series. But LeBron and Kyrie have by themselves outscored Boston's starting five 106-85. LeBron and Kyrie have outscored Boston starters by 21 points. I mean, that alone offsets so much of the difference. Now, add in the rest of the starters. When you include Mozgov, Kevin Love, and J.R. Smith, the Cavs starting five has outscored Boston's starting five 173-85. That is a huge differential, and that's why that part doesn't matter at all. Will it matter? Can it matter later? Yeah, perhaps. But here, no. When your starters are that, and I go back to look up those Miami years. That was something that was pointed to as again, I believe they set records for championship teams that had the highest percentage of their points scored by the starters. So, and you're seeing an exact continuation of that here in Cleveland with this variation of LeBron's team here with what we've put together with the Cavs. 173-85. But LeBron and Kyrie alone have outscored the starting five of Boston by 21 points in the first two games of this series. That speaks to the difference of the talent level at the end of the day. And like I say, it's the little brother swatting at the big brother, and whenever big brother decides to play, they go out there and take care of business. So we'll see what happens tonight. Mozgov, of course, huge before he fouled out in game two. Only 28 minutes the other night. And I mean, to affect the game that much in 28 minutes with the points, with the boards, with the block shots. I mean, I go back again to what I said too. He's such a luxury to have when it starts getting into half-court playoff basketball. The ability to always dump it down low and go inside to a steady presence that's always going to be able to get you those 2 points when you need it. That's going to be big as well for the Cavs. Let's see what happens tonight. Boston gets their first look at home. Cavs need to answer the energy from the beginning here and take care of business, wrap up that 3-0 lead, and get you all set to finish this thing. Game 4 will be on Sunday. So tomorrow, we got Jonathan Knight will be in the house, sports writer extraordinaire. Jeff Gorman will be here as well, and we'll definitely be talking about the aftermath of the Cavaliers and Celtics Game 3. A couple of other Game 3s, as we mentioned earlier, going on tonight with that Chicago series. Everybody in Cleveland keeping an eye on that, and New Orleans and Golden State. Something I'll tell you, I saw today, matter of fact, just happened. The Mets just jumped out. They took a 3-0 lead in their game this afternoon. As a matter of fact, Atlanta just chipped one in the first inning, right? The Mets jump up 3-0. Bartolo Colon is as we're talking about the struggles of the Indians, you might as well get this coming across your way. 3-0 to start the season. Bartolo Colon as the Mets go for 11 in a row here today as they take on Atlanta. But they scored 3 in the first inning. That's a heck of a winning streak to start things. But Bartolo Colon, yeah, all the jokes made, and I remember how many people had no interest in that suggestion. And I'm not hindsighting Bartolo Colon being on the Indians. I'm saying Bartolo Colon is 3-0 to start the season, looking to go 4-0 here, and the Mets are looking to run up their winning streak to 11 games. They're up 3-1 early. I saw, you always see like those just stats that pop at you and you stick them in the back of your head. I saw one this morning. Today in 1954, Hank Aaron hit the first of his Major League Baseball record. I don't care about Barry Bonds. His Major League Baseball record, 755 home runs. Real home runs, not artificially enhanced. I know that baseball will tell you that Barry Bonds broke that record, but I'm going to tell you that Hank Aaron is the home run king with his 755, and he hit the first of those 755 on this day. What would that be, 61 years ago today? Hank Aaron hit his first home run of his long, illustrious career. Man, Indians off tonight. Focus on the Cavaliers. They'll get at that Tiger series tomorrow. We'll preview that. Last thing I wanted to talk about on the way out the door, Mayweather and PacMan. We were talking about it yesterday. Pacquiao and Mayweather. And, you know what? Was it yesterday? Did you guys see the clip? 3 grand slams in one game. I saw Bruce in the chat room throwing up a stat about the 2 grand slams in one inning on this day in '99. But I was watching the highlights of baseball yesterday and catching up on some games, and I saw. And you know what? For the life of me, it's slipping me now who it was. But 3 grand slams. In the one inning, each team traded grand slams. Yeah, and it tied the record. There's only been a couple of other games in baseball history where there's been 3 grand slams hit. But how about that? Top of the inning, team hits a grand slam. Bottom of the inning, same inning, team answers back with another grand slam. There's a rarity for you. Getting back to Mayweather and Pacquiao. We already talked about this a ton. They finally, yesterday, because news was breaking everywhere, and people were like, hey, wait a minute, how are we buying pay-per-views and all this, and you guys haven't officially signed this contract? It's all said and done, and now the official ticket prices have been released. They've went on sale here specifically. The initial grouping of main tickets cannot be bought by the general public. They are specifically only being sold to VIPs hand-selected by the various parties. $10,000 is that ringside VIP ticket. There's 1,100 of them, and you cannot buy them. It doesn't matter if you're the richest man in the world. If you're not on the list of people who they've chosen to buy those tickets, you can't buy it. $74 million. It's the largest price scaling. For what that means is if every ticket in the building is sold, it will generate $74 million of a live gate. The cheapest ticket, $1,500. There's 2,500 of those tickets available, and then the tiers go up to a $2,500, $3,500, $5,000, and $7,500 ticket. So that's it. Those are the prices. If you're going to go watch Mayweather and Pacquiao in person, $1,500 to $7,500 are the price ranges that are available for you, and super duper special people will be allowed to buy the $10,000 ticket. Also, tickets, by the way, tickets go on sale here. Actually, officially can be bought an hour from now, live time on Ticketmaster, and you can only buy 4. They're trying to prevent scalping. Well, I mean, I don't know if you're trying to take more than 4, man. That's pretty pricey, man. You're a pretty generous guy if you're trying to buy more than 4 tickets. But that is absolutely insane. $10,000 front row ringside seat for this one. VIP only. $74 million in the house. They're also opening up closed circuit on the Strip in Vegas. They're going to open up theaters, and literally, you know how closed circuit works. You buy a movie ticket, like you're going to the movies, and you watch it on the movie screen. It's like pay-per-view at a movie theater instead of at your house. There's $150 closed circuit tickets going on sale today. They're going to go on sale as soon as the tickets sell out for the main fight. And, man, can you imagine? Cats are going to want to be on the Strip so bad to be a part of this fight that they're willing to pay $150 to go sit. And that's not counting all the fees that come with it, to go sit in a movie theater down the street from the fight and watch it in the movie theater, man. That's nuts. That's going to be a crazy, crazy live deal there. Absolutely. They said they're going to release 50,000 of those closed circuit tickets. 50,000 at 150. 50,000 people. You could fill a stadium with people that are going to pay $150 to sit in movie theaters on the Las Vegas Strip at the different casinos as well. All the ones on the Strip will be airing closed circuit of that. And they're not just going to do it in Vegas, but apparently all of the MGM casinos around the world will also have exclusive closed circuit viewing places in there. I mean, now you're paying to go watch closed circuit. You're not even on the Strip. You're in, Monte Carlo or something, but this is insane, these amounts of money. $74 million just there, triples the all-time largest gate ever drawn by the Live House, and we aren't even talking about those $100 pay-per-view prices, brother. We are only talking about the live gate, the triple the record. That's amazing. And the fact that at 4 o'clock today on April the 23rd, 9.5 days from fight time, they're just now putting the tickets on sale, and they'll be gone in a matter of no time. Great stuff. I can't wait. I'll tell you what, I don't know about you guys. I can't wait for the fight simply because I do enjoy combat sports, as you guys know. Love boxing, love MMA, and I love the big fights, and this is the one that hasn't been able to be put together. I'm with it. I want to see what happens. I think, man, I think Manny Pacquiao is going to take care of business and be the one. He's going to be the one, as Paul Heyman would say, and knock off that undefeated record of Floyd Mayweather. I know a lot of people are going to pay a lot of money to see it. I can't wait to watch it as well. Think about it. After this weekend, that fight's actually going to be here. Man, there's so much big stuff on the horizon with the Cavs and this week coming up, and it's going to be a fun week. But we got to get there. We got to get to the weekend and all that first. So tonight, enjoy it, guys. We're going to call it a day. Game 3, Cavs and Celtics. Come on back tomorrow. Jonathan Knight, sports writer extraordinaire. Jeff Gorman from Browns101.com and more in the house live. Same bat time, same bat channel, noon tomorrow, right here on the Sports Fix. We love you, Cleveland and beyond. Enjoy some NBA hoops tonight. Baseball, Stanley Cup playoffs going on. The UEFA Champions League soccer, all of that. Let's do the thing tomorrow. We'll see you live right here on the Fix.
Out here in Cleveland, Cleveland, Cleveland.
Okay, now here we go. Welcome to the